Republicans leaning into President Trump's tax agenda, making no tax on tips and overtime pay a midterm centerpiece. And it's putting Democrats on defense, who are struggling to push back on what the GOP says is real money back in workers' pockets.
Everybody who works in a tip job, they pay zero taxes now, Lawrence, on the first $25,000 of their tipped income. For the average American that does those jobs, that's about $1,300 more in their pocket. You're talking about $191 billion in additional refunds because of our legislation, and about $30 billion less in withholding. So real money for real people. Every Republican in Congress voted for that, and every Democrat voted against it.
Whoa, okay. With us now, National Review columnist Caroline Downey and Robert Wolf, former economic advisor to President Obama, founder and CEO of 32 Advisors and a Fox News contributor. Welcome to both of you. Looking forward to this discussion. Politico says Trump's overtime tax break is a hit, Robert. Democrats aren't sure what to do about it. Would you like to take that on?
I think they should support it. I think the tax on tips and the overtime, I think, are both good policies. I'm not sure I would have supported the big, beautiful bill. And listen, as a Democrat, the last 6 months, I think we have flipped 25 elections from red to blue. So it's clear to me that the messaging with the government, with the GOP, isn't working. So if I was working with them, I would say change the narrative. The idea that they're going back to President Trump's big, beautiful bill and his #1 museum piece makes sense to me. I think they have a hell of a lot of work, though, to talk about why they're making affordability front and center. And I think they have to change the narrative, and maybe this works, but I agree with those two policies.
Well, interesting, Caroline. So I imagine that the two of you agree on this, which is interesting.
Yes, but I will say Democrats do spend an outsized length of time bashing Wall Street in defense of the little guy. But if you look at the renewal of the 2017 tax cuts and these special exemptions, we see that this has been a windfall for Main Street, from the 20% permanent deductions for small businesses to the tax relief for those who are getting the tax on tips, whether it's baristas, bellhops, any of the other service workers. So I think now is time for Democrats to come out and admit that supply side economics works. And demand side economics is what they're still going for.
Thought you might take the win what you had there just a moment ago, Caroline. Okay, so this is Treasury Secretary Bessent, Robert, on the no tax on tips, the overtime, and just a simple success story that Republicans can own. Listen.
The big winner has been the no tax on overtime. More than 25% of the tax return have people claiming a benefit for no tax on overtime. I think everybody here would agree with me that that's the American way. Work harder, keep more of your money. Nothing wrong with that. But very simple formula for success.
So that seems to be working, and even you're acknowledging for Republicans. However, you're pointing to this affordability front and center, which I think a lot of Republicans would admit this has been a tough spot for Republicans. It's a tough spot for the White House because while inflation is slowed, those prices are very stubbornly not coming down, perhaps as much as President Trump may have thought by this point. So what are the implications of that from your view? Listen,
I think that although I'm a moderate, both President Trump ran on a populist message. You could argue Mondani and AOC's popularity is on a populist message. Very different, though. One nationalist, one progressive. I think that right now the country is surprised by the Iran war. We could debate that, not here. And I think people feel like a lot of President Trump's energy has gone into global policies, tariffs, the war, and I think he's gotten away from what he's campaigned on. And I think that that has, for the most part, taken the pop out of the GOP, which is why, again, if they wanted me to advise them, I would advise them get back to the economic big, beautiful bill. That's their biggest thing. And I do think the one thing I would say with Treasury Secretary Bessent, I wouldn't yet spike the football, on the tax on tips. We are just beginning to see people file their taxes. So this is just the embryonic stages. And remember, there's an income cap on how much you can make before, and I think it's like $25,000. So, we're not really hitting what I would say middle America and helping them in every which way. We're talking about a lower income aspect. It's a good policy, but there's a lot of work to do.
Caroline, do you think the midterms come down to the economy then? Is that what both parties should be focused on?
I think it still will, and I think Sandra's right about inflation still being stubborn, not so much the rate, but the fact that these prices are sticky and it's not translating to real relief among especially young people who are looking at the market out there and they're saying, okay, but you told me that we were going to see price decreases, but that's actually not how this works. So I do think it's going to come down to a referendum on the economy. But what Republicans, I think, still need to do and still need to prove is that affordability does not mean dumping money on social problems and new social programs. It means unlocking innovation and productivity, and that takes time to kick in, like the big, beautiful bill.
Real quick, last final thought. JP Morgan's Jamie Dimon was on this morning saying people vote with their feet. There's still this exodus from some of these blue states where people are seeking brighter futures.
Yeah, I think Jamie's right. I know he was on Fox and Friends this morning, and taxes are too high in New York City. And I think the idea that Mondani thinks he can, close the budget just by raising taxes, I don't think it's the way. I mean, I informally advised him before the election. If I was advising him today, I would say let's focus on revenues and income and not on taxing.
Preaching to the choir here, Robert, in New York City. We all feel it. Great to have you both. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Caroline, I think it's your birthday today.
Oh,
as well.
yes.
It is.
Happiest birthday
Thank you.
to
Appreciate you
Happy
guys.
birthday. All right. Thank you
joining us.
both.
Hey, it's Will Kane. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News channel on YouTube. It's the best way to get our latest interviews and highlights. And click to subscribe to the Will Kane podcast for full episodes right now.